Hello, Jaja. As you're coming on, you know the deal. Let me know what city, what state you are watching me from. And start tagging somebody. Somebody needs to hear this. What city, what state you're watching me from. Put your names in there. Say good evening to me. Hello. Tell me where you watching me from. Hello. I'm gonna start calling you Deacon Joe. Tell us where you're watching from. What city? What state? You Deacon Joe. As you're coming on, please, pretty please, like, share, tag. You know the deal, because I'm here tonight to find out how are you doing and are you okay? Hey Marie, hey my baby girl. Z5, hey baby. Come on in, tag some people, let them know that we're on tonight. And I'm gonna shut this down so we can go ahead and get into this. I hope you all are ready. Listen, you guys, thank you so very, very much. I've been getting so much positive feedback from this 30-minute therapy session. And if I sound like Sylvester the Cat tonight, y'all overlook it. I have my retainers in. I'm not taking them out for y'all because I need my teeth to be perfect, okay? I just want to let you know. I ain't have a stroke. It's a retainer, okay? Anyway, hey, Menzel, that's my little cousin. God bless you. Glad to see all of you all tonight. So we are going to talk about how you can stop absorbing other people's emotions. However, I do want to allow you the opportunity tonight to come on camera and ask your questions to me. So you will have that opportunity tonight. Don't be shy. Don't worry about it. We're going to talk about it all tonight. So I need to let you know something. I need to let you know that you are a sponge. No, not SpongeBob, but you can be a sponge. Your spirit can be a sponge. Uh-oh, wait a minute. All right. So your spirit can be a sponge. There are often times when people will be around you and they have toxic traits. They have toxic things going on. Their spirit may just have a lot of negative things going on with it, a lot of negative energy. And so there are times when your spirit is open and you have to be very careful because you can become a carrier of other people's toxic traits, of their negative emotions. Hey, Shanika. Hey, she just graduated. Congratulations. And so, hey, that's Evangelist Wilson from Macon. All right, we're in the house. And so we're going to talk about that for a little portion of tonight. And then I'm going to open it up that if you have questions pertaining to what we're talking about tonight, or if it is an entirely different subject and you may say, Dr. C, like, I need you to help me figure this out. Just let me know. I'm going to bring you on camera. You can ask your question and we're going to talk about it tonight because, again, we want to be made whole and we want to be healthier and we want to be happier together. So, again, we're going to be talking about it. Hey, Tamika. Hello. All right. So let's get right on into it. So I was doing a little research because, y'all not going to let me get on here talking about stuff and I don't know what I'm talking about. But there are 4 trauma stages that start with an F. So the first one is the fight stage. Okay. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of fight, but this is in a different way. So the fight stage, all of these are responses to trauma. And we're going to get to the absorbing the toxic traits, but this is where it all begins. It starts with some level of trauma. And so the first F that we experience with trauma, you may be a person that is a fight. Okay, and what I mean by the fight stage, meaning the goal of the fight stage is self-preservation. Okay, that's the first one. The fight stage is self-preservation and protection from pain through conflict. There are some people who do not know and they don't have the capacity, they don't have the skills to be able to sit down and talk things out, to be able to negotiate. They don't have conflict resolution skills. All they know how to do is fight. And so fighting is a response to a trauma or a traumatic situation, but it is their response to trauma. And it is their only way of responding. That is their way of response. And so let me give you an example of someone who has a fight traumatic experience. Let's go to my favorite movie, The Color Purple. Do you remember Miss Sophia? Okay, she said, all my life, I've had to fight. I had to fight my daddy. I had to fight my brothers. I had to fight my uncles. Okay, and she said, a woman is not safe in a household full of men. So for Miss Sophia, all she knew how to do was to fight. When any kind of traumatic situation presented itself to her, her only way of coping with trauma was to fight. What did I tell you about fighting? Again, the goal of the fight, the traumatic part is self-preservation and protection, because she felt she was put in a situation where she could be harmed and she felt she needed to protect herself. And so she decided that I will just fight anybody and everybody that I have to in order to protect myself from pain and from this conflict. I can't deal with conflict any other way. I don't know how to talk it out. Nobody's ever taught me conflict resolution skills. All they've taught me and all I've known how to do is to fight my way out of this situation. Sometimes, I bet you know people that's their first response to any kind of situation. If somebody raises their voice, the first thing they do is they say, what you gonna do about it? You want to do something about it? Well, do something about it. We'll bring it on, or however they talk to let you know that they are ready to get to engage in mortal combat or physical combat with you. That is their way of responding to any kind of trauma. You may be that person. I may be talking about you. If your first response is to fight, if anything comes up, if it gets heated, if you're blamed for anything, then your first response is to fight, then listen, that is your way of responding to trauma. You're going to have to relearn and retrain your brain to develop a new way of resolving conflict. So the second one is flight. I'm not talking about on Delta, and I'm not talking about on Southwest Airlines. I am talking about flight. When I say flight, the intent is to protect from pain through escaping. Have you ever met somebody that when conflict is coming up, it seems like they're very evasive? They don't want to talk about it, or they'll say something like, you know what, let's talk about this another time. Or, you know what, let's not deal with that right now. Or, you know what, this is my favorite one. You know what, hold that thought, I'm going to call you back. And that phone never rings with them on the other line to come back and address the situation. If you are experiencing people who do that, or if you do that, then your response to trauma is flight. You want to get away from the situation. You don't want to address it. You're just like, I would rather not address it. I'd rather get away from it as far as I can. And if I stay away from it long enough, it will work itself out. Ladies and gentlemen, no, that is not how it works. You're going to have to address these situations, because if not, then we will end up where we were last week. And we were talking about how people hold grudges and how that ends up manifesting in you spiritually. And it also makes you unhealthy naturally. So again, if you don't address trauma, unaddressed trauma turns into injury. I need you to write that down or put that into the comments. Unaddressed trauma turns into injury. And I know you think that by staying away from the situation, then you feel like you're doing the right thing. Listen, how many family secrets have been held because nobody said anything? Nobody said anything about Uncle Popo, messing with all the nieces in the family. Nobody said anything about Auntie Ray Ray, messing with all the little girls or the little boys in the family. Nobody said anything about, all of the abuse that was going on. Everybody just was shh. They hush. They kept it a secret. And those persons or that person had to suffer in silence. But it was unaddressed trauma. So in other words, keeping it silent did nothing but added injury to that person or those persons, because some people grew up feeling like that is a normal way that families respond. That is how normal families react. And then when they start their own families, what you're going to see is a repetitive cycle of what happened to them. They're going to start a new cycle. This is how generational curses get started again. Because they're repeating what was done to them, when if somebody had taken the time to address the trauma instead of ignoring it or sweeping it under the rug, then we could have ended that cycle with them. And we could have had and produced healthier children, healthier grandchildren, healthier nieces and nephews. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So again, the flight mechanism is when you're like, I don't want to address this. Let me call you back. And then that call never comes. Or when you do call them back, or when they do call you back, they are not calling you back to talk about that situation or to address it. Okay? Those are people who are very evasive. They can sometimes be procrastinators. They won't get to the point. So again, that's some people's response to trauma. So the third one is freeze. Yeah, I know you thought your camera messed up. It didn't. That was me. When a person goes into freeze mode, that means that, okay, when trauma happens, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to respond. So, I'm not going to be on that side. I'm not going to be on this side. I'm just gonna be here. I'm going to look, I'm going to listen, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to freeze up. I'm not going to show emotions. I'm not going to tell you that offended me. I'm not going to tell you that hurt me. I'm just going to keep all of this in to myself. And I'm going to freeze up on you. I bet you that you know somebody that is harboring all of these emotions to themselves, and they're keeping them all. Yes, this happens in tons and tons of relationships. I bet you right now, if you were to turn somebody that you were in any type of relationship in, turn them inside out, you will find unaddressed feelings that they are harboring even towards you. Absolutely right. You would find that they're harboring feelings, which means they're hiding feelings, which means that these feelings, they're keeping them. This is why they call it the freezing stage, because they freeze everything. I'm not addressing it. I'm not running from it. It's just, it is what it is. And I'm just going to hold it right here. I'm not going to let God help me. I'm not going to give it to God. I'm not going to give it to a therapist. I'm not going to talk to my parents about it. I won't talk to my pastor about it. I'm not going to talk to my BFF about it. I'm just going to hold this in. I'm going to freeze, and I'm going to stay stuck right where I am. That is how people get stuck in cycles. That is how people get stuck in cycles. You refuse to release the emotions that are coming out of. Listen, some of you all have so many emotions that you are repressing your emotions. That's dangerous. Can I tell? That is dangerous, because the longer you suppress and then you repress emotions, what happens to a pot of boiling water when you put the top on it, but then you keep turning the heat up on that pot of boiling water? What happens? Eventually, the water boils over. Then you have a big mess. It's the same way with your emotions. If you keep yourself on freeze, and that's your traumatic response, is just to freeze everything. Don't address it. Suppress it, and if it starts coming up again, repress that thing. Suppression means I'm gonna hold it down, kind of like putting a brick on how I feel. If somebody asks you how you feel, it doesn't matter how I feel. Yes, it does. If they're asking you how it feels, it does matter how you feel. Stop saying it doesn't matter when you know that it does. When you know it does matter, stop saying that it doesn't, because then you are doing a disservice to yourself, and you have nobody else to blame but you when your emotions spill over. And the more you suppress, which means you hold them down, and then you get in situations where those emotions begin to resurface, and then you repress them. What's going to happen is you're going to be in an entirely different scenario that may not have anything to do with why you're feeling the way you feel. And guess what? Those negative emotions that you have suppressed and repressed and suppressed and repressed over and over again are going to come flooding out at the wrong time, at somebody who may or may not even be responsible for you feeling the way you feel. And you're going to have a big mess on your hands. You can have a flare up at work. You understand? I had to deal with an employee today, just went bonkers about, over a baby, and it had nothing to do with the baby. She was holding stuff in that was going on at home, but because it was not addressed, it spilled over into her work performance. Listen, when you don't address these issues, it's going to spill over into other areas of your life. It's going to spill over into, listen, if you don't address, some of you have daddy issues. Your daddy was not very affectionate, or he was absent in your life. If you do not address those issues, when you have your own relationship, you're going to start noticing that the resentment that you felt towards your father, who was absent or who was not the most emotional or loving, you're going to start projecting that onto the spouse that you are with now, unfairly. At the slightest sign that they may trigger you, and remind you of that absent father or absent mother, you're going to, all of that emotion that you want to let spill out on your father, your mother, or the things that you want to say to them, you're going to end up saying to your spouse, or you're going to end up saying to one of your children. Okay, and you're going to end up possibly saying something that could damage them. We know children hold things. They don't forget stuff too quickly. So again, this frozen stage, that's not a good stage either. Okay, you need to let it burn, get this stuff out, and go on. So the fourth one is the flip-flop stage. This one here is where you're just not really sure. Okay, you're going to go back and forth. First, I'm okay with it. Now I'm not. Yes, it's settled. No, it's not settled. Yes, I'm over it. Now I'm not over it. Baby, get it together. Make a decision. Are you over it or are you not over it? Okay, because we can't keep coming to the table talking about this issue 12 years from now. Let's get this settled now. We don't want to keep addressing the same issue. Get everything that you need to say out. Say it in a respectable manner, but go ahead and get it out. And if you are not okay, own up to that and say, I'm not okay with this. If everybody at the table says, hey, is everybody at the table clear? Are we good? If you are not good, you need to say, I'm not good. And you need to tell them why. Because if you say I'm good and you know you're not, guess what's going to happen? That boiling pot is going to resurface and you're going to see it. I saw somebody asked a question. They asked me about dealing with toxic coworkers. Ooh, that's a good one. That's really a good one. Going back to absorbing other people's toxic traits. We're going to get back to those toxic coworkers in just a minute. And if you have a question or you want to come on camera and ask me a question, hit that little whatever that thing is. Hit the icon, and I'll bring you on camera, and you're more than welcome to ask me your question. Because listen, we got to get through this thing together. I told you all the time, we have prophecies. But if you don't have principles and strategies to go with that, you're still going to be in the same place. All you're going to have is a word. And that's it. And somebody said, well, that's all you need. A word from God? Yes. But you've got to work the word. And you've got to apply it. But what do you need to apply it? Strategies, principles. Okay? And this is what we are doing. So, the first thing to avoid absorbing other people's negative emotions is that you got to understand, number one, you got to recognize they are toxic. You've got to be able to recognize that what they have going on. Let me tell you how you can recognize somebody that is toxic. If the majority of everything that comes out of their mouth is negative, ding, 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 they're toxic. Every day, they got to tell you how bad their husband is. Okay, but you're still with him. He can't be that bad. You still going home to him. Every day. I saw that comment. Every day, they're coming in and they have a complaint. Or even when something wonderful is going on, they cannot see the good in it. But they find the one teensy, insy, bitty thing that went wrong and they center in on that. They hound in on, baby, that's toxic all day long. And when you recognize that that person is toxic, i.e. negative, some people call it negative energy. Listen, I'm not saying that you can't be their friend. What I am telling you is that there's only so much exposure that your spirit needs to have to people who are toxic. I said what I said, and I'll say it again. When you know someone is toxic, there is only so much exposure that you need to allow your spirit to be around them. Why? We know that spirits are transferable. Okay? The longer you hang around a duck, you're going to start quacking like a duck. The longer you hang around a hawk, you're going to take on the characteristics of a hawk. The longer you hang around a toxic person, you know what the answer is. You're going to start exhibiting toxic traits. And let me warn you, sisters and brothers, you can have friends, their marriage may be toxic, and your marriage may be doing fine. But the longer you hang around them, and the longer your eyes, your ears, your mouth, those are portals to your soul. You have to guard those, okay? You have to guard what goes in your mouth, and you have to guard what comes out of it. You have to guard what goes in your eyes and what goes out of your eyes. You have to guard what you let come in your ears. Do you understand? Those are the portals to your soul. So, your marriage could be fine, or your relationship could be fine. But the longer you expose yourself to toxic people, what happens is you will start adapting their methods of thinking. So, say for instance, you got a friend, and she's like, "Child, my husband ain't about 2 cents. Do you know that I always have to remind him to take out the trash?" And then you got a really good husband. He's paying the bills, taking care of you and the family. He's not beating on you. And here you go. You know what? I have to tell my husband to take out the trash all the time too. You know what? Yeah. And then here comes the enemy. He's like, ding, ding, ding. I gotta. Planting that seed. And the next thing you know, your husband come home and here you are slamming pots and pans, throwing stuff and just yelling at the kids. And your husband's like, "Baby, what's wrong with you? You know what's wrong with me." And he's like, I really don't. What's the matter with you? You know what's wrong with me. If you don't know what's wrong with me, take a look over there in that corner. He's like, "It's a wall." No, it's trash. Trash that I asked you to take out yesterday. That's still sitting in the corner today. And just that quick, you have allowed somebody else's problems to become the problem in your relationship. You didn't notice it. It didn't bother you before. But because you have absorbed, you have sat around, you have listened so much to another person talk about their spouse negatively, now all of a sudden it's got you looking sideways at your spouse. Like, you know what? I didn't notice that before, but my wife, she does that too. I get sick of looking at those rollers. My wife wear them ugly moo-moos and those ugly long flippers too. I get tired of saying, you know what? You know what, man? You're right. And the next thing you know, you have a problem in your relationship that you didn't create. That's somebody else's problem. But it became your problem because you absorbed what they were saying. I know I'm talking tonight. I hope y'all are sharing this, because this is why some marriages, some relationships, some people on their jobs are not lasting, because you are absorbing the toxic nature of other people. Okay? And it's going to get to a point pretty soon where you do not recognize your own self, because you will have taken on the identity of that person that is toxic. People going to start telling you, what's wrong with you? You're snapping, and this is not you. This is not like you. What you mean it's not like me? This has always been me. What are you talking about? There you have it. Another person's spirit. And I told you, they're like leeches. Let me tell you something. You got to be very, very careful about who you listen to and who you tell your business to. Because there are some times when people will see that you are happy and they'll come intentionally to start planting seeds. Girl, I see. Your husband, nice child. He sure fine. He pick you up. He brings you lunch every day. Every day. Must be nice, child. Sound like he's trying to hide something to me. And that may not even be the case. And you weren't even thinking about that until they planted that seed. Now, instead of appreciating what he's doing, now you're second guessing. Why are you bringing me lunch every day? Are you bringing me lunch because you don't want me wondering if you out there with somebody else? Or what do you do after you bring me lunch? Where you going? Y'all know, ladies, we are phenomenal experts at this look right here. Where you going? I don't know why we do that, but we do. And so he's looking like, what are you talking about? I always bring you lunch. Yeah, but where do you go after you bring me lunch? Who else are you bringing lunch to? Then it rolls over into this whole new thing of possibilities that probably don't even exist. But you sat with somebody that was unhappy and they were mad because you're happy. And now all of a sudden, now you've got issues in your relationship. Not caused by you, caused by somebody else that was toxic. So again, if you're noticing that they're always negative, anytime that there is peace in a situation, and when they walk in the room, all hell breaks loose, toxic. Capital T, capital O, capital X, capital I, capital C. Wait, did I spell that right? I think I did. Toxic. If everybody in the room while they're there, everybody's getting along, everybody's enjoying themselves, but when this one person walks in the room, everybody gets quiet, nobody feels like talking, nobody wants to say the wrong thing because they don't want to step on this person's toes, or they don't want to make them feel a certain way. That's toxic all day. If I got to walk on eggshells to be around you, at least let me be able to make an omelet. Again, toxic people, most of them are comfortable being toxic. Why? Because after a while, the way being toxic works, it almost works like an adrenaline rush, and it almost becomes like a drug. You can become dependent. Hey, Jazzy. You can become dependent on being toxic. Toxic can become your drug. There are some people who are, watch this, literally disturbed when there is peace. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to process what I just said. And I'm going to type on my computer and let you process what I just said. There are some people who, if there is peace, it disturbs them that it is peaceful. The only time that they feel that things are okay is when there is chaos. Why? Because chaos is all they know. Chaos is all they're used to. Chaos is their norm. That's the only way they know how to function, is in chaos. They don't know. Peace is foreign to them. Peace is a foreign language to them. And they don't know how to respond to peace. So when everything is peaceful, they start an argument or they create a catastrophe just so they can feel normal. And when chaos is there, you will see that person relax. They're about to be like, now, this is the way it's supposed to be. Trash talking, people backbiting, stabbing people in their backs. Yeah, this is what I'm used to. This is the way that it's supposed to be. But when everybody's liking everybody, and the people that I tried to turn against each other are actually talking to each other. Wait, I'm not comfortable with that. That's a toxic person. And the longer you are around that person, you are in danger of being toxic too. It works just like if you're around toxic chemicals. If you are exposed to toxic chemicals, they have to put you, if you're exposed to radiation, they're going to put you on that suit, that Ghostbuster suit. You have to walk around and people are going to know that you have been exposed to radiation. It is the same way with toxic people. You don't even know it, but your outer appearance changes when you become toxic, when you start absorbing other people's negative energy, negative spirits, toxicity. Your whole body goes through and undergoes changes. Your spirit, your mannerisms, all of that starts to change from who you really are to who you hang around. I'm talking to somebody. Is this helping anybody tonight? Yes. Sister Venmo said they are insecure. You're absolutely right. If you're around somebody that cannot handle peace, it's because they're insecure. Good point. This point, Jaja said, this is why self-healing is important. You're absolutely right. But what we don't do, we don't take enough time to heal. For us, a lot of you on this live tonight, and a lot of you that will watch it long after I've concluded this, let me tell you something that you may or may not know about yourself. You are a fixer. I'm a what? You are a fixer. You try to fix everybody's problems. You try to fix everything for everybody. But you never pay attention to the things that you need to be healed from yourself. And the worst thing to encounter and the worst person to be in a relationship with is somebody that's not healed. And a toxic person is somebody that is not healed, and they're not trying to be healed oftentimes. Sometimes people love their demons. I tell people all the time, you can't get people delivered from demons that they like sleeping with. I said what I said. If they like sleeping with their demons, I don't care how many times you can grease them down with oil. God bless you, Bishop. You can grease them down with oil like a piece of chicken. Okay, you can give them communion every day for the remainder of their days. I meant to say it like that. Those demons are going to stay there until that person makes a cognizant decision that I am ready to be separated from these evil entities that have plagued me and led me down this wrong path. Let me give you an example. Do you remember Jesus asking the man in the Bible? He said, "Will you be made whole?" Why did he ask him that? Because of the fact that some people benefit more off of pity than they do being powerful. Some people get more attention from being pitiful than they do when Jesus says, "Take up your bed and walk." Do you hear what I'm saying? Because when you take up your own bed and walk, that means nobody's going to be saying, "Aw, your life is so bad. I feel so sorry for you. Is there anything I can do to help you? I feel so bad for you." All of that stops when Jesus says, "Take up your own bed and walk." You can walk now. Stop waiting for somebody to push you in and get up and walk. Then if you are addicted to the pity, then the next thing you know, you're going to be uncomfortable with the deliverance. My God, I feel like it's a Sunday. You're going to be uncomfortable with the deliverance that God has just given you because you are so accustomed to the attention that pity has gotten you. Oh, wow. Wow. Y'all don't let me stay on here more than 30 minutes. Shame on y'all. But listen, you've got to guard your heart. You've got to guard your mind, and you've got to protect your spirit. Listen, when you notice that these people, all they have to say is negative, everything that they're always complaining. You know, David said, my soul shall make her boast in the Lord. If they don't ever have anything good to say, you need to say, soon as, I'm going to tell you how Dr. C does it. I'm going to help you out. So I do have this one person in my life, and every time I talk to him, it is, woe is me. I can't stand my job. I don't like the house I'm living with. The girlfriend, the girl I'm dating, I think she met. You know what, sir? Let me call you back. I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to call you back, but let me call you back. Why? Because I got to protect my peace. I've got to protect my mind. I've got to protect and guard my spirit. And sometimes you just have to tell people, listen, it's not that I don't love you. It's not that I don't want to help you. But right now, I don't have the capacity to help you. Maybe you can go talk to a therapist. Maybe you go talk to your pastor. But right now, I'm not in the place where I can help you, where I can support you through this. I can bring you from here to there. But I can't be in this with you for the long haul. I can't support you and support the emotional needs of a husband or a wife or all of my kids. Do you hear what I'm saying? You have to establish boundaries. That is with toxic people, non-toxic people, church people, co-workers, bosses, friends, enemies, dogs, rats. Boundaries have to be established. Why? Because boundaries is what protects you. And you cannot forget about the most important person in this equation. It's you. Yes, we want to help people. Yes, we love people. But if you are not at your best, you cannot help anybody else if you are depleted. If you are depleted mentally, if you are depleted spiritually, emotionally, how can you fill somebody else's emotional tank and your emotional tank is empty? You riding around on E. You going to church on E. You're going to bed on E. You're going to work on E. You're cooking in the kitchen on E. But you never take the time to say, wait a minute, I'm on E. Now, you know what? Everybody should be looking at tanks right now with these gas prices. I'm just saying. Everybody needs to be looking at all kinds of tanks. Gas tanks, any kind of tanks. But what I'm saying is, you have got to do a self-assessment. And you got to say, you know what? I recognize that talking to this person, trying to help them, is draining me. And I'm snapping at my husband, or I'm snapping at my kids, or I'm snapping at my boss, or I'm snapping at my coworker, and that's not me. When you're doing things like that, my friends, you are absorbing someone else's toxic ways. And you're going to have to do a purge. The only way you can get rid of it is you're going to have to purge, which means you're going to have to retrain your brain. You're going to have to reset your mental model. All of us have a mental model. What we think, what governs us, our core values and our belief systems, okay? And you're going to have to, maybe that's how she wants to be suspicious. But don't let her make you suspicious of your man just because she's suspicious of hers. Likewise, don't let him make you suspicious of your wife just because he's suspicious of his. And that's not even with husbands or wives. It can be, let's take it to the church. Child, I was hurt in the church. Okay. You were also hurt in the club. It didn't stop you from going to the club. You understand? Don't let other people push their negative experiences, their toxic ways off on you, and don't you take them and cradle them and make them your baby. Stop nursing it. You did not conceive that baby. You didn't push that baby out. And when I say the baby, I'm talking about the toxic ways that other people, you didn't have that baby. You didn't live that trauma. So it's unfair to you to absorb and adopt someone else's toxic ways and their trauma, trying to help them. Because all you're going to end up doing is self-sabotaging your own life. Before I get off, does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? I want you to ask questions because, listen, we got to get this thing right. And the dumbest question in the world is a question that's not asked. And I want you to know, if you need to ask a question, I want you to ask it. Yeah, somebody say this is good. I hope this is helping you. And listen, I need you to go back and listen to last week's 30-minute therapy with Dr. C, where we talked about grudges. Woo! That thing there was good. It was good. Let me see. I think I got to. How do I stay at peace when it's people related to you, child? Woo! How much time you got? Listen. Peace comes from the inside. Okay? Peace comes from the inside. And let me tell you this. When you are determined to have peace, let me tell you, nobody, contrary to what this world has taught us, nobody can make you mad. Nobody can make you upset. Nobody can make you cry. We choose these emotions. So we also, likewise, have to choose peace. And so if that person is choosing not to be at peace with you, you're going to have to resolve it in yourself. First of all, if you have tried to make peace with them, the Bible says, this is what the Bible says. If you know that your brother, and when it says brother, it's talking about people in general. If you know that your brother has an ought against you, the Bible says you go to them, meaning you try to get it right. After you've done that, if they still don't want to make it right, they're not interested in making peace, then the Bible says, hey, go get an elder, which is a witness or somebody wiser than you, and try to get a mediator, a pastor or someone to mediate. If they're still not interested in making peace, listen, you're going to have to resolve within yourself that you've done all that you could do to make peace with this person, and they are just dead set against being at peace with you. But they cannot make you mad, and they cannot make you not have peace, because any emotion that we have, we choose it. I don't care what people, she made me mad, or you chose to get mad. We choose our own emotions. So just like we choose negative emotions, we have to start choosing positive emotions, godly emotions, the fruit of the Spirit. Read Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. Right, is it Ria or Raya? If I'm saying it incorrectly, I apologize. Read Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. That's the fruit of the Spirit, okay? And it's going to tell you about the things that we should be producing. Love, joy, peace, meekness, temperance, which is simply self-control, okay? All of these against such there is no law. So again, if they're not going to be at peace with you, it does not mean that you can't make the choice and the cognitive decision that you're going to be at peace with them regardless what they do. Okay? Let's see. How can I heal from father issues? I noticed that it's affecting my relationships. So again, we did talk about that. So if you notice that it is affecting your relationship, the relationship that you are in, the first thing you need to do is sit down and you need to have an honest conversation with the person that you're in a relationship with. Because they need to know why you are responding the way that you are responding, why you are reacting the way that you are. And you need to have that conversation with them and say, hey, you know, I have dad issues for this reason, for that reason. It's not you. I got some things that I need to work out with my dad. If your dad is around where you can talk to him, then you need to have that conversation with him and tell him how you feel. If you don't feel like he will listen to you, do this. Write him a letter. Because I always tell people, if you don't feel like the conversation will go well just by verbally conversing with them, write them a letter. They can read it or not, but at least you get everything out in that letter that you feel you need to get out respectfully, and you give your father that letter, okay? And then you tell God, say, now God, whether my father changes or not, I need you to heal me from this. Because God is the one father that you will never have to worry about having daddy issues with. Because he's always going to be on time. God has always paid his child support. Amen. Somebody, he's always going to make sure you're good. So again, the Bible says, David said, when my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. I need you to start looking at the fact that even if my earthly father is not doing right by me, my heavenly father thinks I'm all that and a bag of chips. He does not play about me. He loves me. He wants the best for me. You have to keep reaffirming to yourself that you are God, the apple of God's eye. I'm his child. I'm his daughter. He loves me. Even if your father doesn't want to deal with it. But you can write him a letter, have the conversation with him, but you need to let your partner know what's going on so that they can make the choice of how they want to deal with it, or do they want to deal with it? Okay, good question. All right, anybody else? Any other questions? All right. Let's see. Okay. Awesome. Listen, you guys, I really thank you all for supporting this 30-minute therapy. Let me tell y'all, I have had some preachers who have told me I was wrong for doing this. They have said, you're supposed to be preaching the gospel. You know, why are you getting on there talking about, grudges and all this other kind of stuff? But when people come in my inbox and they tell me how much, hey, Sarah Bertha, when people come up in my inbox and they tell me how much these therapy sessions are helping them, how closer to God they've gotten, how much they've taken an inward look at themselves and they've seen some things that they need to work on, then I realize that I am still doing the work of God. Why? Because the Bible calls Jesus a wonderful counselor. So all of this is still the will of God, giving us strategies. God is very strategic, okay? He's not just going to give you a word and then not outline principles for that word to be successful. That's just not how God works. So again, I thank you all for, supporting the 30-minute therapy with me, even though it's most of the time over 30 minutes. Do me a favor and share this with somebody. Share it on somebody's pages, because somebody needs to know that you can absorb the toxic traits of someone else. And we are almost out of time, so I will talk about the toxic traits of coworkers maybe on next week, because that's a whole session by itself. But I do want you to be healed. I want you to be whole. And more importantly than that, I want you to be happy. So again, I hope this has helped you tonight. I hope you have listened to this. I hope you apply it. If you get an inspiration or a new dawning or something like that, I want you to come in my inbox and tell me, say, hey, I figured this out, or I discovered this about myself, or this helped me. I want you to just Come back and tell me exactly what you've learned from these sessions, because I need the feedback, and it lets me know where I need to go from there. So again, you guys are super fantastic. If nobody's told you today, I love you. You're created in his image. You're beautiful. You are loved. You are respected. You're wanted. Listen, you're all that and a bag of chips. And I hope to see you all next Wednesday for our 30 minutes therapy session with Dr. C. I love you guys.